Terminator Zero was just released on Netflix, and this is a Netflix anime that many people, myself included, kind of felt like, do we really need this? It's a bit of a dead franchise, especially after Dark Fate. But honestly, overall, I did find myself enjoying this. At the start of it, I was not a big fan of this show. For like the first three, four episodes, I didn't really like it because it was just the same. Skynet's gonna blow up the world and they're trying to stop it. We've seen it. They sent a Terminator, they sent a Resistance member, all stuff we've seen. So I wasn't huge on that because I wanted something new. And then they started to focus more on the characters rather than the actual event itself. And that drew me a lot more into the show. And from there, I did start to enjoy it a lot more because I really do like these characters. I think they're really well done. They have a fantastic voice cast who's honestly still pretty underutilized, but it was fun. It was great animation, great action. I do recommend giving it a shot and sticking through. If you do want something different, I recommend it. If you don't want something different, I don't recommend it because it definitely does change things and go into things that you may not like if you are wanting more of the same. But I mean, the past two Terminator movies haven't worked, and that's when they've been doing more of the same. So I'm happy they tried something new, and I really do hope it pays off for them.
Funny thing. So we both kind of started at the same time, but for life and time restraints, one of us finished before the other. But the first couple episodes, we were like right on par. And I was telling Griff, I was like, I'm digging it, and he was like, I'm not liking it so much. I even mentioned I'm liking it more than I liked Alien Romulus. And if you go back, I enjoyed Alien Romulus. And funny enough, life goes on. He finishes it, I finish it, and today we find out that he really enjoyed it, and I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. So I'll explain why. First, I want to start off with the stuff that I did like. I love the animation. The animation's great. It's fun. The action sequences look amazing. The art style is, it's anime, but it's to me, it's very reminiscent of what we saw in the first four seasons of Castlevania. The music I think is dope. I think it fits. We even got a little bit
Fits
of
so
that,
well.
T2 thump in there, which is awesome. We got to see, although we've seen its and bits of this before, we got to see more of the actual assembly of a T800 and how the flesh is put on them and how they're sent back in time. We got to see the time machine, which funny enough, this is something that Terminator Genesis did get right. And I like that this series kept that because these are from the original sketches of James Cameron. If any of you guys have Terminator 2, the special edition, you guys know what I'm talking about, the one with the metal case. You get to see like a lot of like James Cameron's art because his initial plan for T2 was much, much bigger than what we actually saw. It opens up with a small futuristic battle, but in his original version, we were going to see John Connor, take Skynet down, go down there, use the time machine, and it's pretty accurate to what his original version was. So that was cool to see. Of course, I like seeing T800s. I love seeing futuristic battle scenes. I love the HKs, the Hunter Killers, and all that stuff. It's dope. I did like Malcolm. Now on to stuff that I don't care for so much. So for me, I will call myself a Terminator purist, and I'm strictly talking about Terminator 1, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, which is probably one of the top 10 best movies of all time. Definitely one of the best sequels out there. This, I think, since then is the most enjoyable, most action-packed. But for me, I don't love it. It breaks canon a lot. Understandably so, there's different timelines, whatever. I'm all for that. Grip said it best earlier. This introduces the Terminator multiverse long before DC ever gets to get their shit right, which is sad. I didn't have to see them on screen. I'm talking about John Connor or Sarah or Kyle Reese. I didn't have to see them on screen. But for me, John Connor is the leader of the resistance. He's mankind's only hope. Without him, we are fucked. And so when you remove him from the equation, it would have been nice to have just heard of him. For me, it works best when I don't really see adult John Connor doing his thing. When I just hear about him, that's cool. Would have been cool to hear a little bit about Sarah, to hear about Kyle, or just see some other resistance leader. I understand the need to grow and to like give us new stuff. I did like the new stuff that they showed us.
Yeah.
They did explain time travel a lot better than it's been explained in the previous films. I get that. I understand the physics of it. However, there's a particular scene where the Resistance travels back in time. I understand why Skynet's got this tech because it's the dominant power in the world. How the Resistance gets it, maybe they stole bits and pieces. Okay, sure, I could bend my belief there. Their time machines suck. It's not bad. I do recommend you guys give it a shot. You guys would probably enjoy it more than I do. And if you don't give a fuck about any of the Terminator movies, maybe this just be enjoyable for you anyway.
Yeah, this was definitely where I divulge a bit from Edward. I do enjoy the first two Terminator movies, but I think this fits perfectly in canon. I don't think it breaks it whatsoever, and they do explain that. I do agree their time machines are sketchy and could use a bit more explanation, but I think their time travel makes sense. And yeah, they do explain the multiverse. John Connor as a concept never made any sense to me. And I think this, especially since they say like the Skynet sends someone back to kill Resistance leader, and we get like a little graphic where they've done it multiple times for multiple people. That makes a lot more sense than just John Connor being the singular hope. That I
Well,
never understood that.
the only time that made sense to me was in one and two. I totally get one and two. Like Skynet's calculations are like, this guy, no matter what we
Okay,
do,
yeah,
beats us in the future. So we got to go because the first one, I'm like, Skynet was smart enough to say, let's go back to before he was born. Let's whack his bomb. He never exists in the future. Good. Second one, I also get because what a lot of people don't understand is that yes, the second one takes place several years. I'm about to brain fart you guys. The second one takes place several years after the first one, but only in the past, because in the future, and this is in the novelization for all of you guys who read, because in the future, those events are moments apart. Like, okay, like T1 ends, uh, John Connor, him and the Resistance, they defeat Skynet. He sends Kyle Reese back in time to save his mom. Before they blow the thing up, one of his tech guys, I guess, tells him, hey man, there was a second Terminator sent back, but to kill you as a teenager. So then he has no choice but to send yet another. But then he's like, oh fuck, now I
yeah.
already
I
sent my
mean,
dad.
that
So
makes
they
sense.
reprogram a Terminator and then send him back. So those make sense.
Yeah.
The third one also kind of makes sense. Bear with me for a second because yes, they're sending Terminators back in time to kill people, but this time John can't be located because he's smart enough now to like stay off the grid. So Skynet's like, I can't kill him. Let's kill his future lieutenants. So the movie starts off okay. Skynet, what's her name? The TX shows up. She's whacking like John Connor's future lieutenants. That one still makes sense to me.
Okay.
T4, they don't time travel. That's they're stuck in 2018 for some fucking reason. The movie doesn't really go anywhere, and then they blow up Skynet, which you'd be like, okay, well now the war's over, and then they're like, yeah, but it's like in cyberspace, it's not really like a mainframe. Fuck you guys. And then there's T800, there's a T800 in that movie, which you're like, we all complain about lore breaking and whatever, but the T800s we know don't show up until like early 2029. John
Hmm.
Connor defeats, well, he leads the resistance to victory in fall of 2029. So when we see a T800 roaming around and fucking, I get it, multiverse, you switch shit up in the past, so now they're not gonna be exactly the same in the future. I'm all for that, but the movie just didn't really work. Genesis starts off really good and then it fucking flips on us. I would say that since T2, this project, Terminator Zero, and I'll die on this hill. Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles have been the best we've gotten of Terminator. Griff and I know, and this may change because James Cameron's still working on his 90 fucking Avatar projects, but he has expressed interest in saying, hey, you know what? The pool's been pissed in way too much. Maybe I had to get back in there and write a third, would be everything else is like wiped from canon. His third and final Terminator movie. Which, if I'm being honest, that's the movie I'm interested in watching. James Cameron's third Terminator movie.
We'll
Because
see.
the guy can write. I mean, I get it. If any of you guys can't stand him, Griffin and I can't stand. The guy's a complete douchebag. But again, look at his track record. I mean, the movies he's made, they're great. well written, beautifully directed. I mean,
Yeah.
Aliens, Terminator 1 and 2. Fuck. I mean, yeah, that's the movie I'm interested in. And hopefully it'll be the future war. Hopefully we'll see John Connor do his thing and send Kyle Reese back in time. Final thoughts on this. It is enjoyable. It's not like I'm never going to pick this up again. Yeah, I'd like to see Terminators do things. And it is, again, 1000% better than what has come before.
Let us know what you think about Terminator Zero. And if you enjoyed this movie and other sci-fi projects, go check out Alien Romulus. It is a fantastic sci-fi horror movie, and we think you're really gonna enjoy it if you enjoy this.
Yeah, it's again like this. It's better than what's come before.